Hey, it's Drew Bennett from Big Damn Kid, and today I am back in the USA, or at least the Transformers are, in issue number 35 of the Transformers. We are back in the USA. We are back with regular continuity with the regular storyline, and we'll catch up and see what's happening in this issue, which is titled Child's Play. Alright? Okay, so here's a great place for kids to play, in a train yard. Playing guns in a train yard. It's 1987, people. It was December of 1987, and when this issue came out. Yep, things are a little bit different now, and I'm sure they probably will be in the future or whenever people are watching this. But it's 2017 when I'm recording that, and you know we're looking back 30 years of what's going on here. So the kids are out there and they are playing guns, space guns, at a railyard, and one of their friends, you know, he gets shot and pretends that he is dead, and he's obviously super good at it. Like the kids say, they're super good at it. But then some arguing starts because little sister is tagging along, and the only reason little sister is tagging along is that if her big brother Jed, you know, if he left her home, then you know he'd have to babysit, and so he brought her along. Now these kids are probably about 10 years old or so, and the sister Robin is probably about 5 or even younger. She's carrying around a little teddy bear named Daisy, and you know the railyard is a working railyard. This is a perfect place for kids. I mean, honestly, there's things to climb on, there's tetanus to get, there's trains that could flatten them at any minute, but, you know, great place for them to play. So they're playing around, and, you know, one kid says one thing to scare the other one, and he's like, "Freeze! You're all under arrest for trespassing," and they all, you know, you're... And then he says, "No, hey, I see a police car." And they're like, "Yeah, how dumb you think we are," because he just told them that. But there is a police car coming, except this is no ordinary police car. This right here is Streetwise of the Protectobots, and behind him are Blades and First Aid. Now, they are on their way back to the Ark, and apparently the quickest route was through this railyard, but they're going back to the Ark to bring the prisoner Blaster with them back to Grimlock. Because Grimlock, well, Blaster defied Grimlock's orders. Instead of following Grimlock's orders, Blaster helped some humans rather than, you know, destroy them. Because Grimlock really doesn't care too much about what happens to humans. He thinks they're all weak, and so therefore he can do anything he wants to them. So they're going along, and the Ark calls them for a status report, and Streetwise tells them that Blaster's secure, he's inside of First Aid, and he's clamped onto Groove, and he has a mode lock attached to him that prevents him from transforming. So there he is on Groove, inside of First Aid, and you know, Wheeljack then asks them, you know, what of the other 6 Autobots seen with Blaster? And they say they were captured by humans, there's no sign of them yet. And Wheeljack's about to say, you know, I'm sure Commander Grimlock will, and then Grimlock just knocks him out of the way. Grimlock talks for himself, Wheeljack. Get out of the way, and he, like, pushes him right out of the way. And Grimlock is just furious. Blaster defies Grimlock. Blaster is leader of traitors. Blaster will be punished. You know, hurry, Ark repairs done, ready for takeoff. He wants to take off and leave this planet, and he wants Blaster so he can punish Blaster. Now, Wheeljack there, you know, he's thinking to himself that Grimlock, you know, he's so obsessed with Blaster and punishing Blaster that he's not even thinking about the Decepticons, and you know, he's saying to himself, I can hardly blame Blaster for going his own way. He's like, maybe I should help him. So Wheeljack is thinking of turning on the leader, Grimlock. But the thing is, these Autobots unanimously said, Grimlock, you're going to be the leader. It was absolutely the dumbest thing they'd ever done. They were just so stupid to make Grimlock the leader. He obviously didn't have leader qualities, but we go through that fight with Tripticon, and suddenly we'll just make you the leader because you had some qualities as Optimus during that one fight. But he doesn't. He is like a megalomaniac and crazy. And all he wants to do is punish people and make things happen his way. Well, the Autobots are readying the Ark. They have repaired it, but they need to energize it because, you know, it's been laying dormant. It's a gigantic thing. They're going to need energon for the journey. So in the next scene here, we've got Autobots taking some energon cubes from the geothermal generator that Wheeljack made. So he made a geothermal generator. So we got Cosmos and we got Powerglide, and it's probably Beachcomber because he shows up later in the issue. So it's probably him. And you know that we're ready to make the things happen. And so, you know, Streetwise says, "Don't worry, Commander. Even if we somehow lost Blaster, we'd be able to track the mode lock signal within 500,000 mile radius." And Blaster's feeling pretty sorry for himself back there. He's like, "I'm as much threat as a toaster with its wire plug pulled. You know, I can't give up yet. I've got to find some way to escape." Because he doesn't want to, you know, he doesn't want to go back to Grimlock and to be under Grimlock's rule. Especially doesn't want to get punished by Grimlock because Grimlock is a sadistic one. So the Protectobots, they are in this. They're in the railyard still, and Blades notices some tracks that look like Brawl. They look like Decepticon Brawl's tank tracks. So the Protectobots go to engage with the Combaticons, and first let's see, Hotspot tells Groove, you know, to remove the prisoner to a safe place. This could be a trap. We don't want him getting in the way. And so he takes Blaster, tosses him in a drainage ditch for a drainage pipe for the time being. The kids, meanwhile, they see the Protectobots leaving, and one of them, Jed, sees Groove drive off with no human on board. And he tells the kids, and of course they don't believe him, and they go off looking. Meanwhile, Blaster is thinking about this. He's down on himself, and he's thinking really, you know, harshly on the Protectobots that, you know, he's like, if there were any justice, those fool Protectobots would get their heads disconnected by the Decepticons. It'd teach them a lesson, show them who the real enemy is. And he says, still, they are Autobots just like me. I only wish they'd let me help them. And then he notices the humans, and he's like, I hope at least they know to stay away from here. They're kids. Of course they don't. They're playing in a train yard. Do you think they're smart enough to take off when the robots start blasting away? No, I don't think so. Then we cut over to another train repair depot, and inside is Brawl and Swindle. Brawl and Swindle are in there, and then Vortex, he notices the Protectobots coming, and he gives the order for everybody to come out of their hiding places, including Blastoff, who was up in the stratosphere. And they all come down to fight the Protectobots. The first one to show up is Streetwise, and all the Combaticons say, you know, we're going to take turns beating you up rather than, you know, one at a time, or shall we do one at a time, or shall we beat you up all together? But it's not too long before the rest of the Protectobots show up, and they get into a, you know, they start to get into a fight there. Okay? And the kids, meanwhile, they're about a mile away. And the kids they're still playing, and they think they heard what was an explosion. Obviously, the Protectobots and the Combaticons are getting into a big thing, and an explosion happens there. Sammy finds Blaster in a drainage ditch, and Blaster says to him, "Remove me from this pipe, small human." And Sammy, like, loses his mind. He goes running off. He's like, "There's a talking cassette deck in that pipe." And they say, you know, "You're lying again." These kids did not believe each other at all. You know, it's back to you're lying, he's lying, they're lying. Meanwhile, Robin goes over to the drainage pipe and finds Blaster, thinks he looks really pretty. And so she and Daisy say, "Look at this radio," and they take it, and she brings it back. The radio's bigger than her, and she carries it back to the kids. Again, this mass and size and shape changing. You know, how does that happen? How can a small child lift Blaster, who is a, you know, probably 16-foot tall robot, maybe shorter than that, but whatever. And how can he turn into a tiny tape deck? But hey, again, I don't know. So they bring Blaster over, and the kids are like, "Whoa, you weren't kidding!" And Blaster says, "Humans, evacuate this area." And the kids again freak out a bit. We go back over to the Protectobots, because this is what we want to see anyway. We want to see the fights that are happening between the Protectobots and the Combaticons, and they are, you know, really, really tough fights going on. A lot of explosions, a lot of things blowing up, a lot of things getting destroyed. Because that's what you want to see when giant robots fight. The Combaticons then, they combine into Bruticus, and there is Bruticus. Probably one of the molds that has been used over and over and over again for combiners. And Bruticus forms, then the Protectobots get together and they form Defensor, and Bruticus and Defensor fight. Bruticus throws a train car at Defensor, misses him, and it lands right by the kids on this hill a mile away. So he tosses that train car 1 whole mile. And the kids are like, "Did you see that? Ha! It couldn't have. Me neither. Can we go home now?" We then cut to the Ark. And on the Ark, Grimlock is having Cosmos, Beachcomber, and Wheeljack put together a thing called a variable voltage harness. Alright? That is basically an electric chair. And he's going to use that to punish Blaster. Because the pain won't stop, he'll just keep varying the pain, and Blaster will be there and punished. Horrible. Grimlock is horrible. He is an awful leader, and he is just terrible. So Grimlock says, you know, "How soon will Blaster arrive?" And Wheeljack tells him that there's a problem because Blaster, his position has remained unchanged for quite a while. And Grimlock says, "If Blaster no come to Grimlock, Grimlock go to Blaster. Prepare Ark for launch now." And that's it. You're going to launch the Ark. Hopefully they've got enough energon, and there they're going to go. Back at the train yard, the fight has gotten closer to where the children are, because the children are now watching Defensor and Bruticus battle it out. And these guys are having a knockdown, drag-out, big-time battle in the train yard. Crushing trains, and then, which I think is one of the coolest things in the issue. Nope, sorry. That's going to be a page or so after? No, a couple pages. Sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. What happens here is that Blaster tells them, you know, you guys got to get out of here. You got to help me, and I will help you, because right now it's even more dangerous for these kids. So, you know, help me so I can help you. The kids argue. Sammy and Jed argue. They're always arguing back and forth and back and forth. And there's another kid named Alan, and Alan just goes over and he removes the mode lock on Blaster. He just goes over, you know, you guys are always worrying too much. So he just goes, pops off that mode lock on Blaster, and Blaster then, he transforms, and, you know, you can see how his size compared to those kids. So I think maybe I was being under by 18 feet. But then, of course, perspective and size in the comic books is, you know, kind of tough. And he basically, you know, reassures the kids that I am not going to hurt you. You know, you have to do what I tell you. Make sure you trust me, because I'm going to make sure that nothing happens to any one of you. And you believe Blaster because he's not creepy. He's not in that creepy comic from the UK with Jazz and who abducts a child. And anyway, he gets his chance to help them and protect them right away, because Bruticus hits a big power line, you know, one of the scaffoldings for a power line, or one of the towers, and Blaster catches it on his back and protects the children. Luckily, he's okay. He said, you know, I felt better, but you know, kids, stay away from the tower. You can get electrocuted. And then, this is the coolest part that I liked about it, is that Bruticus picks up a train and just smashes Defensor right in the face with the train and knocks him out. And then he comes for Blaster. And what happens now, he comes for Blaster. Blaster's got to think quick. You know, he's outgunned, he's outpowered. And he says to Bruticus, he's like, look, looks like you got it all wrong, pal. Bruticus tells him, I'll make it quick, Autobot. Wasting too much energy on a puny thing like you isn't worth it. And he says, looks like you got it all wrong, pal. I was the Protectobots' prisoner. And I got no loyalty to them or any of the Autobots. You did me a favor by beating them. And he's like, did I? Your kind has a misguided liking for fleshlings. Prove you are no longer siding with them, Autobots, and kill one of them. So he wants him to kill one of the kids. And Blaster thinks to himself, well, I've got to go through with this or I'm dead. And he says, sure, these little runts make good target practice. Come on, human, I'll take care of you. And Sammy steps up and he says, you don't scare me, you big walking junkyard. And, you know, come on, there we go. Tells him that. And then Blaster goes and he blasts him. And Sammy falls down dead. Don't be too sure, though. The kids are all distraught. There's their friend Sammy. He's on the ground. He's dead. He can't believe that Blaster did that. But while Bruticus looks down to see if he is actually dead, Blaster takes the tower and smashes Bruticus in the back, electrocuting him, and also knocking him apart, making all of the Combaticons go into vehicle mode, and now they're basically knocked out for a while. And Sammy wakes up. He's pretending again, pretending to play dead. So you've got, well, all right, some of them are in vehicle mode and some of them are in robot mode. The Protectobots, after they've recovered, they wake up and, you know, they tell him, Blaster, you saved us. You know, and we thank you, but that doesn't change our assignment. And Blaster says, I won't put up a fight, Hotspot, as long as you let me see the little humans to safety as I promised. And, you know, he tells them that he's sorry that he involved them in that danger. And the kids are like, no, we had fun. We had a great time. You know, we love to play in railyards and do dangerous things. And, you know, and Sammy says, I would have been even more fun if I knew your gun was out of energy before you shot me. But I trusted you anyway, Blaster. And Blaster tells him, you know, and I trusted you, Sammy, to be as good as your friend said you were at faking out. You were better. And Hotspot looks at this and he says, you know, these humans mean a lot to you. And he says, you know, if we can't protect the weakest among the planet's natives, then we're no better than the Decepticons, Hotspot. That's what got me into trouble. In the first place, is he helped some humans back in Transformers number 28. And the kids look over at Blastoff, and they like, hey, is that spaceship real? I wish I could take a ride on one. And Blaster says, well, after what you've done, it's the least I could do to repay you. But, you know, we can't do that because when Blastoff revives, he's not going to want to be flying around kids. And Alan goes over and slaps the mode lock right on him, and he's like, now he will with the mode lock attached. And then Hotspot says, well, you won't be needing that anymore, Blaster, because he's letting Blaster go. So Blaster and the kids get inside Blastoff, and they fly into space. He takes the children into space. I mean, that's worse than taking them through the countryside in, you know, in England, but it's not as creepy. I mean, he just takes them off to fly around the Earth once and then come home. Except that is not going to happen because as the kids are up there on the spaceship and they're having fun and everything, here comes the Ark chasing after them and firing on Blastoff. Grimlock has found him. I guess he must have been within 50,000 miles radius of Blaster because now Grimlock has found Blaster and the kids and he's trying to capture them. It's probably like a tractor beam or something like that. Hopefully he's not trying to blow them up. But, you know, I wouldn't put it past Grimlock. Anyway, that is issue number 35 of the Transformers. It was December 1987. This is Drew Bennett from Big Damn Kid. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as Big Damn Kid. You can also find me on BigDamnKid.com where I do a full write-up of every single issue. And you can find me here every day making videos about the Transformers comic books and some other things. Eventually I'm going to do an unboxing of this Bumblebee figure and unbox a bunch of these blind bag alt modes from Hasbro. So look forward to that. I'm going to be doing some more of those things. I'd love it if you subscribe, maybe leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and hey, thanks for watching.